Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bayou Time Sports. Michael Parenton was a terrific athlete over at E.D. White, a graduate of 2004, who went on to play football at Tulane University and then had a stint with the New York Jets, now working with the New Orleans Saints, and he will be inducted into the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame in June. We had the opportunity to sit down with Michael just the other day and talk to him a little bit about this honor and about sports in his life growing up. Here's what Michael had to say.
Well, I wanted to be basketball more than anything because that's what I grew up in. You know, raised in the gym, idolized every one of my dad's players. And so then from that, you know, dabbled with baseball. And then once we got into football, I had an older brother that, you know, I got started whenever he got started. And then football kind of quickly became my passion because I saw the writing on the wall to figure that that was going to be where my home was going to be. But I love basketball still to this day, you know, consider myself more of a junkie of basketball. And football kind of found me. And then now, you know, from that, you know, became a junkie of football. If I was just going to say one person that like, man, this is exactly who I wanted to be, this is why I wanted to play, this is the type of player I wanted to be, and why I felt like so passionate about it, was like everything. The more and more I learned about Eric, I just kind of wanted to be like him, you know, from how he acted, the numbers he wore, the helmets he wore, all that stuff. Like he was really, truly my idol growing up. Well, I got my first offer at Tulane's camp going into my 10th grade year. So my brother was a senior. I was going into 10th grade. We go to camp there. Giff Smith, who's a defensive line coach at the time, is now a defensive line coach for the Rams, worked me out, offered me there. So that had been my first collegiate offer. And really it was pretty early. Okay, why do we like Tulane? You know, it's the education, first of all. And also your family can come to every single game very easily. And not just your immediate family, your extended family. And I truly believed that if I was good enough, they would come find me for the NFL. And I kept trying to tell myself that to make sure, like, hey, just take care of the main thing, and let the football speak for itself. And then now, particularly in the job I am now, I know for sure that we'll find you if you're good enough to play on the next level. So I had a really good freshman year in 2005, the Katrina year. We played Mississippi State the first game of the year. A couple NFL players on that team. Felt like I belonged. I was playing right guard that year. The next year, 06 at center, kind of kept building it. Well, then in 07 was Forte's year, 2,000-yard rusher. So you're obviously getting a lot of national attention there. We play LSU in the Superdome. We're up 9-7 with, about a minute and a half left or something like that in the first half. And Glenn Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, those guys are, Craig Stelz, those guys are all on that team. And I can remember that was kind of like my measuring stick moment to figuring out, like, all right, these guys are going to be the best of the best coming up in the draft this year. Can you play or can you not play? I ended up having a really good game. And I think that was part of the film that ended up getting me signed, after my senior year. I think I was probably on the fringe of everybody's, I probably wouldn't draft this guy, but smart, tough, good developmental offensive lineman. Like, we can throw this guy in here as a free agent on our roster, and he's probably going to stick around. And so after the draft rolled around, a lot of those teams kind of offered tryouts, and the Jets ended up being the only one that really offered, a full-time, undrafted free agent position, and fortunately it worked out. I think the toughest part about trying to be an NFL player is understanding the consistency needed on every single day, and it just may not be good enough. You can try your best. You can use every resource that you have. But at the end of the day, they're probably going to be looking to replace you unless you're one of the 12 guys. The 12 guys that we're all blessed to have in your organization, your core players. Outside of that is who can we win with, not because of. And so I'd had a back injury. It'd kind of been something that, I'd kind of managed throughout Tulane towards the end of my time and getting in with the Jets to where I kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I knew that this wasn't going to be my everything forever. But I also knew that if I handled relationships properly and I did everything right, then we could see if working in football worked out for me. The Saints had approached me from their familiarity in the draft process and everything and said, hey, we didn't know you'd be interested in scouting. We have a position open. Would you be interested in interviewing here? And so that's when I came down here, met with Ryan Pace on one afternoon, and they offered me a position, and that was 2012.
Michael Parenton, one of 6 to be inducted into the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame in June. You know, he mentioned early on about his dad in basketball. A lot of people don't realize Pat Parenton, who was a terrific high school coach in this area for many years, is his father. So I can understand where basketball came into the picture. Again, that class, there you see it, Ernie Brown, Mark Davis, Chip Didier, Michael Parenton, Ed Ogeron, and Merle Shakespeare will be inducted on June 18th. That's a Wednesday night at Cypress Columns in Gray. If that interests you, go to brahoff.com. That's BRAHOF, Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame, and you can get more information on how to get seating. I understand there's hardly any seating left to that. As a matter of fact, we had mentioned last week that it was down to under 30 seats left in a 300-seat venue. So it's going to be tight squeeze for everybody who would like to come in there. Obviously, Coach Ogeron is a big draw, and yes, he will be there. As a matter of fact, all of those individuals. Wait till you hear about Mark Davis, folks. Guy from Thibodeau High who played for the Philadelphia 76ers. In the heyday of the Sixers, and was a terrific athlete. We're going to talk a little bit more about each of these each week leading up to the event. We are out of time in this segment. We're going to be back with more Bayou Time right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.